Namaste. Welcome to the Shaman The Mermaid, and we're coming at you in 2021. Before I introduce our video, if you want to purchase our recording of 2021 and beyond, the 2-hour workshop that we did a few days ago on what's happening this year, next year, looking back at some great cycles, you can follow the link below and just click it. The video will be sent to you in an email. It's ready to go, and watch at your leisure. But now we have the Capricorn new moon, which is Tuesday, January 12th, and will take you all the way through January 28th. And I know we probably say a lot, but geez.
No, really, geez. It's a doozy. I mean, starting on the new moon itself, check out what's happening. So not only are the sun and the moon together, always on a new moon, right? In Capricorn, which is a sign that really likes law and order to be held up, likes justice. Well, next to the sun and the moon is Pluto. So it's sun, moon, Pluto conjunct all together in the sign of Capricorn. Well, why does Pluto add to this party so significantly? Well, Pluto is the soul self. The sun is the outward expression of who you are. The moon is the inward expression, how you talk to yourself. And then the soul of your whole being. And it's all together. So there's no room for BS. And it's in a sign that holds the karma line in it. It holds the dharma line in it. It's wanting you to be doing your purpose. It wants you to do it in the right way, and it wants it done precisely. So we've come up with a theme. And by the way, that's not all that's happening on the new moon. I'll finish up what's happening on one day. But just to kick off our theme, it's stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. I know that's so simple, but it's just one of those things where let's not go off-roading right now. In fact, I would say all the way through not only January, but throw in February too. But for the next 2 weeks, stay in your lane. Just keep the course, hold steady. Try not to, weave and bobble back and forth too much. Just hug to the midline, stay in your lane. And we'll explain this more as to why. But a lot of it has to do with this initial kickoff of sun, moon, Pluto, all conjunct in the sign of Capricorn, wanting law and order and karmas paid, debt paid, things due. So just stay in your lane. Also on this day are 2 big squares. You want to talk about those?
Yes, the planet Mercury, your communicator, your thinker, your transmitter, your nervous system, will be squaring the planet Uranus. And this is a, pretty intense square because this is the start of a lot of activation of Uranus energy, not just in this report, but for the year. Check out our report 2021 and beyond. Uranus is like one of the key players for the year of 2021. And remember how all throughout 2020 we talked about all the planets that were in Capricorn and on that side of the wheel? Well, as all of those planets move out of Capricorn, whether it's Saturn or Jupiter or Mercury, they turn the corner into Aquarius, and the first thing they see is Uncle Uranus waiting there in the square being like, I've been waiting for you. And there's no way around Uncle Uranus. Uncle Uranus is your personal unconscious, it's awakening, it's revelations, it's the rebel, it's electricity, it's sudden, seemingly random, unpredictable events coming out of nowhere. Now, yeah, that's it.
And Uranus's home sign is Aquarius. So as all these other planets start landing in his hometown, he's over there in Taurus, just waiting for everybody to come around the bend so that he can square everybody in his hometown. It's like he's got them in his own home turf squaring off. And it sounds like Uranus is an evil energy. All planets, all signs have both the shadow and the light to them. But throw in human nature's free will, free choice. So everything that we do can be a choice We can use Uranus in a positive way if we choose to. These squares coming together add an extra challenge, but with a heads up like we're giving right now, we can go into it saying, okay, I know this could be difficult and I'm going to work with it. Or free will can ignore it, follow your maybe insatiable desires, your headstrong stubbornness, your weaknesses, your addictions, and then bam, you're gonna get it. So the whole thing here is stay in your lane. Just stay in your lane for a little while here so that you can get through some of this. But as Michael said, Uranus and Neptune and Saturn and Jupiter and Pluto are all the big outer planets are really doing a show on us for 2021. Really doing a show. This particular report for the next 2 weeks till we get to the Leo full moon on January 28th, the big star of the show is Uranus. So you'll be hearing about him a lot. We'll be talking about him a lot. And I would say a secondary player in the personal planets that's really having an effect on this next 2 weeks is Mars. So if you think about that, Mars is your warrior, your initiative. That is the willpower. That's your ability to choose your free will there. And that can be butting up against this bigger energy of Uranus saying, your ego might want to push up against some of this. And so that's why the theme, stay in your lane. So as Michael mentioned, Mercury will be squaring Uranus on the new moon with Pluto, Sun, Moon conjunct, and there's another square. I'm going to speak to that one.
Venus square Chiron. So Venus just went into the sign of Capricorn, and Venus represents your body, your free will choice about your body, your intuition, how much you love yourself. And then if we expand it out to the material world, Venus is also finances, it's farming, it's food, it's material wealth, it's your home, it's banking systems, it's big pharma, it's all those things contained in it, and it's squaring Chiron in Aries. Chiron is your wound, or the collective wound of our planet. And right now Chiron's in the sign of Aries. So collectively, we're all having a look at the wounded masculine, the Mars energy. And Chiron is in there for 7 years in Aries. So we're having a 7-year look. We're only on year 2 at investigating the wounded masculine for the purpose of healing, not for the purpose of writhing in it more and making it worse and being more angry and projective and out of balance. But when Venus comes around to square the wound, it's our physical bodies, our self-worth, maybe even our financial or our material worth is saying, I don't have any power. I've lost my free will. I'm angry. I'm disenfranchised. I want to project. I'm out of balance. And hopefully, if we want to put the positive spin on it, if you're able to use your yoga, use your spiritual practice, use your grounding, this can be an opportunity for you to tune in and see what it is that's wounded about your masculine. And this doesn't mean whether you're a man or a woman or a child. It's your yang energy or your solar or your penetrative or your Mars. And a big piece of the wounded masculine for our planet has been using the free will in not right way. And that's for greed, for lust, for power, for sex, for whatever. And each time you do that, you give away some of your authority. You give away some of your personal Shakti. You give away some of your sovereign being. And in that, you feel diminished. You feel under control to the authority because you've given it away to something else.
And you've created karma for yourself on top of that. So all of this, these big, this kicks off the next 2 weeks. This new moon day, January 12th, with Sun, Moon, Pluto all conjunct, with Mercury and Uranus squaring each other. And remember, Mercury is the lower octave of Uranus. They both have to do with electricity, the nervous system, with energy, and they're squaring. So this can be an intense day for the nervous system. You might already feel it coming on prior to the actual new moon because there's so much intensity. That's a good word for this particular square because of that electricity that is involved with both of those planets. It's an intense new moon in Capricorn.
Can I add one more point about this?
Yeah.
As soon as I say it, you'll go, oh yeah. Now, date, January 12th.
Right.
Remember we said Capricorn. This new moon's at 23 degrees Capricorn. Exactly 1 year ago on January 12th, 2020, we had talked about this for years, about the conjunction of Pluto and Saturn on January 12th, 2020 at 22.5 degrees Capricorn, basically 23 degrees Capricorn. This is reactivating that whole point from last year. January 12th, 2020 was the date that the first media confirmed death of COVID happened out of Wuhan. January 12th, 2020 was the first day that China said they had sequenced the virome of COVID, and that was probably a big indicator, had we had hindsight, that this was going to be the energy to shift the world. So the moon hitting this point is reactivating that ping.
So it's not going to be too surprising if a whole lot of new moon is a new seed, a new energy. Pluto is the underworld. If this doesn't bring new energy to understanding COVID, good or bad. I mean, it could be like, oh my gosh, this, and it could be, oh good, this. It could be both ways, but something could be revealed, especially around the virus and the pandemic and this whole last year. And that's a good point. I'm glad you remembered to bring that up. It's in a year to the date and to the degree -1 exactly when that all first came out, and when Jupiter and Saturn were conjunct. That's a lot. So just take that energy, like new moon, right? So that plants the seed, a lot of intensity. The new moon seed's intense. We move to the very next day, January 13th, and we have Mars squaring Saturn right out of the chute. Mars is in Taurus now, and Saturn is in Aquarius. They've both just recently moved into new signs, and they have a new feel for what's going on, and they're butting up against each other. Saturn is karma, law and order, much like Capricorn, and Mars is that initiator, the aggressor, the warrior, and willpower, and they're squaring to each other. What you're going to see throughout the rest of this report is a lot of friction, a lot of intensity, a lot of duality, a lot of polarity. That's pretty much a theme for 2021 if you really want to know. But strong right out of the chute for 2021 in these, last 2 weeks of January, that's where you're really going to get a taste of what it is. So back to stay in your lane. We don't need to jump out and start rebel rousing yet, as Kaipacha said. We just need to stay in our lane until we get a true sense of what it is that you feel for yourself at the heart of your being, at the Pluto of your being, at the soul of your being. Know your own feelings, know your own story, know your own values, not just taking what's coming at you from the television stations, from the social media outlets, from what seems to be the truth of the government officials. Just let your own intuitive abilities process everything. So in the meantime, until you come up with that determination of what you want to do with your body, what you want to do with your life, what you want to do with your money, what you want to do with your property, what you want to do going forward, stay in your lane. Just stay in your lane. You know, in those blizzards, they have the blizzard posts on the side, and you're just hoping you can see those little reflectors every now and then to let you know that you're actually on the road. Look for the blizzard posts. Just stay in the lane. So that's one aspect on the very next day. There's a nice little harmony coming up. You want to speak to this one? It's good news.
Ostensibly maybe the only outwardly harmonious aspect of this whole report. It's Venus trine Uranus. So there's Uranus again. And as we talked about, Venus is self-love and values, and Uranus is that awakening electric rebel force coming through. So, this can be revelation coming into your own field about self-love, about self-worth, and about self-care.
It could be, I got this. I am capable. I can do this. Rawr. A little bit of your rawr comes out. That would be okay as long as two hands are on the wheel and you're staying in your lane. And then we go on to January 14th, and Uranus, again, is going to go direct. It's been retrograde, so it's had a slower roll. It's been a little bit restrained in its abilities. Now it gets to station and move forward, and it gets some momentum, and that's part of this charge. It's like, and it's in the sign of the bull. Anything goes in the sign of the bull. It's like when you wave a red flag at the bull, it's just like, boom, going for it. Well, Uranus direct in Taurus, and that's on January 14th, as well as the sun will saddle up right next to Pluto. What do you got on that one?
Sun conjunct Pluto. This happens once a year. Sun conjuncts all the outer planets one time a year, whether it's Pluto, Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, Jupiter. So it's a pretty big event, and it's a reset of a cycle. It's like a Sun, Pluto, new moon, as an example. And it's a beginning of an energy. The sun is our personal self, our fuel to live our lives. It's what we shine out into the world, and the sun is the soul. So this is a moment where the soul and the persona come together. Hopefully, we'll keep a positive outlook here, to realign or rejuvenate or reset. You know, it's like you get aligned so that you can be clear. You're in your lane of your body, of your chakras, of your intuition.
That's well said. How you show up in the world, let it be in alignment with what you feel inside at a soul level. That's what this new moon Pluto energy, I like that. It's like a new moon. It's a good chance to set some kalpa for the soul and let yourself really be true to that with that sun energy. That's January 14th. And we move on. Jupiter will be squaring Uranus. Like we said, Uranus is all throughout this report. Jupiter is the teacher, it's your faith, it's the guru. We call it the heavy or the guru, because it's representing your deep inner wisdom, your deep inner knowing, your intuition on some level. It's expansive, it's big, it's powerful, and it's squaring Uncle Uranus. What does that mean?
It can go different ways, but the first thing that comes to my awareness is when Jupiter or Jupiterian energy is out of alignment, it means something's untrue, something is being fanatical, something is being misled, and Uranus says this will be corrected. And Uranus throws a lightning bolt, and there are so many ways that things can be corrected. One gentle way is that you have a revelation, like, I see, my perspective has widened, and it feels like a brightening of your inner sun. The other way is spank, spank, spank. You know, you're told, you know, you get different information, something's taken away from you, something's broken apart, somebody falls from grace, or an institution is exposed, or something of the sort. You know, so it's that whole spectrum. Let's hope for that, yay, revelation. But the whole possibility is open, particularly during squares.
And remember, Uranus is not only revelation, but revolution. So you could be facing that potential too. And please note that this Uranus-Jupiter square kicks off the weekend of the inaugural weekend and the Martin Luther King weekend. So check out what's coming up after this. So first, it's like big truth could be revealed, untruths could be revealed, great teachers could be shown to be false prophets, there's fanatical energy, it's all kinds of potential around that. Kicking off on Sunday, the 17th, then you go into the next Tuesday, the 19th. Monday is Martin Luther King Day, and you know, there could be some heated energy around racial tensions on that day because of that Jupiter-Uranus square, because of the seed back at the new moon with Sun, Moon, Pluto conjunct with Mercury-Uranus square. All of that is kicking into this whole, you know, week coming up, the weekend coming up after that. So, you know, brace yourself around that weekend, and then we go into Tuesday, January 19th, the sun, which has been in Capricorn, will now move into Aquarius. So now the party is really getting started in Aquarius, because who do we have?
Before that, we had Saturn go in just before the winter solstice, and then Jupiter. And Saturn and Jupiter conjoined on December 21st 2020 on the solstice. That was a pretty big energy. And now the sun is in there, and so
Mercury.
And Mercury. So we have 4 big energies moving through the Aquarian age. In our astrology video that we said we did on 2021, we had about half of the workshop, or a half hour, talking about what is Aquarius energy, what is the Aquarian age, when does it start, when does it end, when does it begin. Well, that cycle is a great cycle, and we won't talk about it too much here, but it's about a 2,000-year cycle, and so it has a couple of 100-year swath in and out. And so we are at the breach between 2 different energies. Katrina came up with that coin term, the breach being like the breach between death and birth of something, or the breach when a woman is on the birthing table and the baby's coming out. We're between the death cycle of the Patriarchy and Capricorn energy, the sign before Aquarius, where that Pluto, Jupiter, Saturn conjunction in the new moon is.
Law and order.
That's the death, and the new birth is the Aquarian age, which is where Saturn and Jupiter and the Sun and Mercury are now. But the birth and death doesn't mean that everything's like, the bad's going away and the good's coming in. Right now it's chaos, and it's flip-flopping back and forth, and it is super important this time is
to stay in your lane.
To stay in your lane and to maintain a high vibration frequency.
Absolutely.
What you think, what you feel, what you intend, what you speak, your actions, all of them have frequency, and they're going out into a field that is very ripe and fertile for further action further down the line.
Aquarius is an air sign. It's a thinking sign, and it's high thinking. And Sun moving in there is, your outward expression. It's your persona, how you show up with all this thinking energies. And Mercury is in Aquarius as well. So you might think before you speak on that Mercury piece in there, because you might have a whole bunch of stuff that is just rattling around up there, this new revolution, innovative energy, and you want to blah it out. But because of the intensity that's right now, I would say take a couple beats and think about what it is that you're saying. Wordsmith it to be just right. Not shut your mouth, not show up and stand in your power. Of course not that. This is more about just take a beat, take a breath, stay in your lane, stay calm, cool, and collected, because that intensity has a tendency to make us be a little bit wildfire. So that's the day before the inauguration day, which is January 20th. And on that day, Mars is conjunct Uranus. The warrior and the random wild card come together on inauguration day. And it's a half moon in Taurus. What do you got on that?
The founding fathers were tuned into things like astrology and hermetic information and occult teachings. I mean, even if that's something that's not aware of, just go look at the dollar bill and look at the back. There's a pyramid and the Eye of Horus on there, and different occult symbols. So they chose the inauguration day to be on the day that the sun typically goes into Aquarius. The sun goes in either the 19th, 20th, sometimes the 21st. So that is not random that is happening there. But Mars and Uranus coming together at that point, as Katrina says, it's the warrior and the rebel coming together with the moon, the inner feelings, what I'm feeling. And this point in the chart is hot. Mm-hmm. It's active. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be bad or good, but right now there is a lot of tension, and a hot point can be the breaking point, the ignition point, the setting off the rocket point.
So instead of stay in your lane, pull the car into the garage. Go inside and stay there for a couple days. No, it's just be aware that this is a very electric time, and it keeps on going. So after Inauguration Day, we have Mars squaring Jupiter. We had Jupiter and Uranus squaring before it. Now we have Mars and Jupiter squaring after it. What is that? This is on February 22nd, Friday.
It sounds like we're on repeat, but it's like all these things just keep going at each other. Mars is the aggressor, the warrior, the masculine. In Taurus, which is the body, action, movement. And Jupiter in Aquarius is our belief systems, things that we hold to be true, our convictions, what we stand up for. And so our warrior aggressor is squaring against our convictions. And, maybe what happened on January 20th, people are going to be in disbelief, and then it's like, do I take action? Do I hide in my house? Do I stand up and start a revolution? Do I go meekly into the night? Stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane. The important piece to me in all of this, at least initially, at least while the energy is percolating and super hot, it's like a volcano bursting. We all want to go up and look at it. It's amazing to see from afar the lava spewing out of a volcano. But if you get close to it, that's dangerous. You know, of course, they block it off. They don't let you go near it. You're not going to be able to see it. So wait, and you'll see what happens on that level. Let yourself go inward and listen to your wisdom body. Listen to your intuition. The TV is going to be squawking at you left and right. Both sides are going to have a viewpoint on this, and most likely you have your favorite side already. My advice is to let yourself be open to everything coming at you so that you can formulate your own opinion. Adopting the idea of what if this is happening? And what if this is happening? And what do I feel about it all? Instead of just taking verbatim what's being told at you. And I know this sounds like maybe there's a little bit of mistrust on our end of what is coming at us from the news feeds and from government sources. And I would say we have a healthy dose of caution around everything and everyone. Not to say we have a side on that, but it's just our way of evaluating so that we know how we feel about our own values, our own beliefs, our own structures, instead of just taking verbatim what is being told to us, because anymore we don't know who's who. We don't know. So you have to really just sit in your heart place. Your meditation practice, calming the mind. Meditation is one of the best things you could be doing right now, particularly with all this Aquarian energy. Since it's such a thinking sign, and it's electric, and it's innovative, and it's revolutionary, and epiphanies, and like lightning bolts going out of it all the time, calming the mind is very key right now. Giving yourself even 5 minutes a day of just focusing on peace. Just on peace alone would be fine. And there's so many tools out there. I mean, everybody has got a YouTube video on meditation that you can follow. Tune into some of these things. Time out, turn the TV off, turn on that YouTube video, or even better, your own self. But if you need a little guidance, follow one of these masters on YouTube or your favorite yoga teacher and let them guide you through a little meditation until you get the gist of it and you start doing this on the daily. That will help you stay in your lane. That's a big one. If we can get through that week of inauguration from Sunday through Friday, then we roll into the final weekend of this report, and the sun will be conjunct Saturn on Saturday the 23rd. How does that look?
Sun and Saturn in Aquarius, and I think this plays into what Katrina said about tuning into your own sovereign feeling, knowing self. When you are in a line with your Saturn principle or the archetype of Saturn, it's your inner wisdom, it's your inner elder, it's the inner keeper of the great wisdom inside of you. And Aquarius is also your super consciousness, the part of your soul that hasn't awakened to the ego yet. And so the elder is coming out of the realm of your super consciousness to go have a sit down with your persona, your sun, your feelings, the way that you show up in the world. If you're doing that meditative, aligned, peaceful, stay in your lane, this can be a time where you really deepen. Saturn is to deepen things and mature and get the roots solid and make sure what you're going into has long-lasting integrity. And so Sun in Saturn in Aquarius is integrity from the soul, integrity from the personal self, coming from your wisdom body.
I like that. I like Sun and Saturn together typically, and I particularly like them in this air sign together because I think that it does lend itself to that higher level consciousness quite nicely. Then the very next day, January 26th, we have Sun square Uranus, and this could be a little bit of a hothead too. What do you think about this one?
It's that same energy where everybody's turning the corner into Aquarius, and there's Uncle Uranus waiting. And Uranus is, as we said at the beginning, not to be messed around with. If we look back to Greek astrology, he was the original sky god. After that came Zeus, Jupiter, Kronos, and then Zeus, Jupiter. And so he's the big heavy. And again, Sun square Uranus, this is the same point that's going to be reactivated again and again and again by the planets. A month later, or 3 weeks later, that's the area where Saturn will come into the square to Uranus. And this is the biggest energy of 2021, Saturn square Uranus. It's happening all of 2021. And the Sun is scouting ahead. So it just had a meeting with Saturn the day before when they were conjunct, and then it's going into that box of the square and scoping it out.
And Sun squaring it, it's like a fight, like a little disharmony, a little disagreements. But if Uranus wants to have the upper hand, Uranus will have the upper hand in that. So going back to your free will and your ability to choose, and you have that sovereign right, choose wisely on this day. Let your ego take the back seat. Stay in your lane, because with Uranus, you just never know what's coming. You don't know if it's a spanking or a boon of $10,000 coming in with some PPP check that you've been hoping to get. You just don't know. So the best thing is to have that, real nice drive in between the lanes and being safe until you know in what you want to do with your energy. When you have formulated your own decision about how you want to go forward with all the information you've been gathering on your own, not just what's been told to you, but doing your own deep meditations to receive those messages from spirit, to get the guidance from your internal wisdom body, and letting your own self come to terms with what it is that you want to do to make a decision for your body, for your home, for your job, etc. Then you can make a move, but use January at minimum. And as Michael said, that big Saturn-Uranus square is a month later on February 17th, maybe even on into then. Just homebodies. It's winter time. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to stay inward, reflective, introspective, keep things kind of in the quiet, close to the heart, hold your cards close to your heart. Don't make any rash decisions. You don't have to jump out and do anything right away. There's still time to make some big decisions for your health and wellness. And then, if that's what you decide to do, then that's what you can do after you've let yourself percolate with all that it is. You can stay in your lane until then. That was a big one. We got any more?
See you at the Leo full moon on January 28th. Almost in bulk then, too.
Right. And some retrogrades coming up. But we'll talk about those then. Have a beautiful rest of the month, and we'll see you then.
Namaste.